Hello ladies and gentlemen, Alex Cordbard here. Welcome to this tutorial. This is going to be pretty exciting. A couple days ago I was on the internet and I came across some Legos and I got really nostalgic all of a sudden and thought, what better way than to create a tutorial on Legos and making Lego blocks. So in this tutorial we're going to take a look at a lot of different things. We're going to see how to model the Lego blocks. We're going to see how to use physics simulation to get this cool effect here. We're going to take a look at how to add materials to a curtain so that light goes through and the shadows and everything interact properly with it. We're going to take a look at cloth simulation, proper texturing, environmental lighting, a bunch of different things. However, the main focus is obviously going to be the Legos in this scene. So if you want to just create the Legos, just follow along in the tutorial to the point where we finish creating the Lego blocks and then you could be on your way. Or if you want to recreate this scene with me, follow along the whole thing and we're going to be doing just that. So before we get started, I do want to say make sure to check out BlenderMania3D.com because here under the tutorials tab, you could actually request a tutorial because I want to be doing tutorials that are for your guys' liking and what you want to learn. So make sure to check out the website, join the community, post on the forums, participate in the contest that's going on right now, and join the BlenderMania family. Now, with that, let's get started. Let me create a new scene here. Turn on my screencast keys. By the way, are you guys fans of Legos, or did you grow up with Legos? Hopefully you did. Otherwise, that'd be a sad childhood. I'm just kidding. All right, now, with the default cube selected, let's go ahead and hit SX, scale it up on the X-axis. And let's hit SX. I'm going to hit 2 to scale it up 2 times. And then SZ, scale it down. Now, I'm going to scale it up a little bit. The first Lego block that we're going to make is the one with the 8 prongs, or the 8 little buttons. I don't know what they're called. The 8 little buttons here. This one will take a little bit longer, but then the other 3 that we're going to create, we're going to make them in under a minute because we're going to use this as the template. So let's create this one first. And as always, we want to do things smartly because we are smart Blender artists. So let's hit Tab to go into edit mode. Control R, add a loop cut here, left click, right click. And then Control R, add a loop cut here, left click, right click. If at any point you don't know what keys I press, remember screencast keys right there. Z to go into wireframe, A to deselect everything, and then just hit B, left click and drag to box select these vertices and these vertices right here. Hit the X key, delete the vertices. Cool, so now we have 1/4 of our Lego block. We're going to go ahead and go to the modifiers tab under the wrench icon, add a modifier. We're going to add a mirror modifier. We're going to mirror it on the x-axis and the y-axis. As the name implies, the mirror modifier mirrors your object around the center origin point. You can see that we have a cool little Lego block, and if we go into edit mode with the tab key, we only have 1/4 of it that we need to edit. Smart. All right. Control R. Scroll your mouse wheel up so that you have 4 loop cuts, or just hit 4 on the keyboard. Left click and then right click to position those. 7 on the numpad to go into top view. Control R, add a loop cut here. Control R, add a loop cut right there. And just making sure that these right here are a square shape and not rectangular or whatever. Making sure that these squares are square shaped. Cool. Now, and you guys can see my voice is better. In the last tutorial, my voice had been gone from my birthday, but I'm back, baby. All right, sidetracked. I'm just excited to be able to speak properly now. Control tab, go into face select mode. Shift right click these 2 faces, X, and delete them. Now, what we want to do is make these more circular because I know it's a Lego block, but this is looking a little bit too blocky. In order to do that, we're just going to hit Control R, add a loop cut, left click, right click, And I'm going to do the same thing all the way around, adding a loop cut all the way around this square right here. And the same thing on the other side. You could go ahead and feel free to pause it if you need to add your loop cuts. And now you should have 8 vertices, not that one, 8 vertices around your square. Cool. All right, making sure you're in vertex select mode, Control Tab, vertex select mode. Alt right click this vertex loop, hitting 7 to go into top view. What we want to do now is make this more of a circular shape. However, I don't have the mathematical precision to make it absolutely perfect, so we're gonna use Blender and do it smart once again. SMRT, smart. All right. I always think about the Simpsons video game when I say that. Shift S, cursor to selected. And now Shift A, we're going to add a mesh circle. Right away here on this menu, there's going to be the vertices. I'm going to change this to 8 vertices. And then hit the S key to scale it down. And scale it down so that the corners of the square meet with the vertices of the circle. About there. Shift D, X, copy it to the other side. Cool. Now we're going to do something pretty cool. I mean, I think it's pretty cool. We're going to snap the vertices to the other vertices. In order to do that, go ahead and go down here, change the snap element from increment to vertex. As you guys can see, I'm so excited I can't even speak properly anymore. And now what this does is if we right click a vertex, hit the G key to grab it, and hold down Control, you will see that snaps to the vertices around. What we're going to do is just hit G, hold down Control, and snap it to the vertex of the circle. Again, we're grabbing the vertex of the Lego block, holding down Control, and snapping it to the vertex of the circle that's right nearby. We're going to do that all the way around. All the way around. Hitting G, holding down Control, and snapping it. Again, you can feel free to pause it. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Tomorrow here is Father's Day. I think we're going to be going to the beach and everything, which should be fun. Should be fun. I don't know if what you guys are doing on Father's Day, but I hope you have an amazing time. All right, there we go. And now that we got all of those, we want to hit the A key once or twice to select everything. W, remove doubles. And you can see it should remove 16 vertices. Cool. Now, let's go ahead and Alt. Well, first we need to go to Edge Select Mode. Control Tab, Edge Select Mode. Alt, Shift, right click these 2 edge loops. E and Z to extrude it on the Z axis to about there. And then hit the F key to fill those in. I don't know why that's always so fulfilling. Cool. One more thing we need to do. Let's go back into Vertex Select Mode. Alt right click this vertex loop. Making sure clipping is enabled. If it's not enabled, these will disconnect. If we turn on clipping, they will still stay connected. With this selected, Control I to invert the selection, and then just bring these 2 closer together so that the spacing between here is about the same as here. So something like that. All right, cool. Deselecting all that with the A key. Go ahead and select all these. Hitting Z to go into wireframe. B, left click and box select those. And then just bring these in a little bit. We're going to make the perfect Lego block. Probably not, but, well, yes, we're going for perfect. All right, now hit the A key, select all of them. And then just bring these in this way a little bit. And something like that. Looks good to me. All right, cool. So now Our Lego block, like I said, looking a little bit blocky. No pun intended. Let's smooth this out by adding a subdivision surface modifier. Add modifier, subdivision surface. Now it's looking a little bit too smooth, so yeah. What we're going to do is add some loop cuts. You can see that I absolutely love loop cuts in this tutorial. Hitting tab to go into edit mode. Subdivision surface basically adds geometry and smooths it out at the same time. So right now it's basically smoothing it out from here to here. It has a fall off from here to here. If we hit Control R, add a loop cut, and then drag it all the way up and then back down a tiny bit and then left click, it now has a fall off from here to here. So the loop cuts basically sharpen wherever it is. If vertices or geometry is closer to each other, it has less of a fall off and smoothness to it. Let's do the same thing for the bottom. Control R, left click, bring it all the way down and then bring it up a little bit. You don't want it to be completely on top of the other previous vertices, otherwise you're going to have some problems and it will be no bueno. Control R, add a loop cut there. That's like almost the only Spanish I know. Control R, same thing here. And then let's do the nubs, or whatever these are called. Bring it up, down, Control R, bring it down, up. Same thing on the other one. And down here too. Alright, that's looking more like a Lego block. Smoothing it out by hitting the smooth shading button right here. And boom, that's looking nice. Nice. I'm getting more nostalgic by the second, guys and ladies. Alright, Control 7 on the numpad to go into bottom view. Tab to go into edit mode, and then Control Tab face select mode. C to bring up the brush tool, and you could increase or decrease this with the mouse wheel up and down. Go ahead and left click and drag all these faces right there, minus the ones right on the edge. Hit the I key to inset it, and then just bring this in a little bit, and this will create an inset and basically add more of an edge right there. Hitting the A key to unselect all those. B, left click and drag and box select these faces, and do the same for these faces right here, not including this one and not including that one. Cool. Hit the X key, delete those faces, back into vertex select mode. Make sure clipping is still on. Alt right click this vertex loop, bring it in on the Y axis. Alt right click this one, bring it in on the X axis. And now back into face select mode, Control Tab, face select mode. Reselect all these faces. Alright, and now hit the E key. Extrude it on the Z axis. It should already be on the Z axis. If not, hit the Z key. Bring it up until you see it go into there, and then just bring it down right underneath that. So underneath there, like that. And then, you guessed it, loop cuts. Control R, add a loop cut here, bring it all the way down, and then bring it up a little bit. Same thing here, up, bring it down a little bit. And right here, Control R, bring it in and out a little bit. And there we go. That's looking nice, looking nice. Now, Control 7, go back underneath. As you might know, if you know your Lego blocks, like I know my Lego blocks, I don't know them that well, but the Lego block, this Lego block has 3 cylindrical parts to it underneath that allows for it to clip on top of the other Lego blocks. So what we're going to do is Shift S, cursor to selected, Shift A, add in a, let me see, cylinder. I almost forgot there for a second. Right here, right where it says add cylinder, we're going to change the vertices to 6 because we're going to add there's going to be a subsurf modifier to it, and also I want the least amount of vertices. And we're going to put the cap fill type, not the depth, cap fill type to nothing. And then hit the S key to scale it down. Hitting 1 on the numpad to go into front view, 5 on the numpad to go into orthographic view, and Z on the keyboard to go into wireframe. Let's hit tab. Make sure we're in vertex select mode and just alt right click this vertex loop. Bring it down so that it's flush with the bottom of the Lego. And then alt right click the top and bring it up so that it goes just past the top part of it that we just created, and so that it's basically in there a little bit. All right, I'm gonna hit 5 to get out orthographic view because that gives me a headache. And then, actually, scratch that. Let's go back into front view and orthographic view and back in wireframe as well. With any part of the cylinder selected, I lied to you guys, I'm so sorry. Any part of the cylinder selected, hit Control L to select the linked, Shift D and X and bring it out along the x-axis, and then Shift D and X, bring it along the x-axis there. All right, now, once I get this aligned, now we could go out of orthographic view by pressing 5 on the numpad. All right, cool. Let me see. One thing that I want to check with my cursor still there, I'm going to hit Shift A, add a mesh plane. I'm just going to bring this up. I want to make sure that this is still a cube shape. I just kind of want to get the proportion of this. Make sure it's still a squarish shape. So I'm going to scale this in a little bit. I'm going to hit tab on this, A to go into edit mode, and then just bring it in a little bit. Make it so that this square kind of, fits both of them, sort of. All right, I'm just going to delete this plane just to give me a rough idea. I'm also going to bring it in a little bit that way. All right, cool. Now, going back to this right here, we want to add some thickness to this because it's looking a little bit paper thin. The quickest way to do that is with a modifier. Add modifier, solidify, and by increasing the thickness here, you can increase the thickness of the cylinder and just something like that, and then apply the solidify modifier. Cool. Control 7 to go back underneath. And now hitting the tab key, face select mode, select a face. We're just going to put the divider here, and then we'll pretty much be done with this Lego block almost. Shift D. Don't worry, the next ones will be faster. I promise. Shift D, copy that over here, and then just bring it into the wall right here. Right where it's right in the wall right there. E to extrude it. Bring it out. Control L to select the link, and then SX. Scale it on the x-axis. And then just grab this face and bring that in so that it's within there. And then this one you could bring it down. All right, with one part of this selected, Control L, Shift D, Y. And bring this straight on through to the other side. All right, I gotta not sing during tutorials. Cool. There we go. Cool. Now, for this part, what we're gonna be doing is merging these two. However, before we do that, we're gonna be applying the mirror modifier. But before we do that, we want to copy this cube, because we're going to be using it as a template to create our other Lego blocks. Selecting the Lego block, Shift D, X, copy this over here. Now, select this, make sure it's all good to your liking. All right, looks good enough for me. Yeah, all right, good enough. Now just go ahead and apply the mirror modifier. Apply it. So now it's all one mesh. We're going to select this right here, shift select the Lego and Control J and merge the two. Hitting smooth shading to smooth that out. You can see now we just got to fix a couple things here. We got some bad shading here. Easily fix, that makes no sense, but easy fix is what I meant. Go into edit mode. Make sure you're in face select mode. Z key to go into wireframe and just Alt, Shift, right click the face loops. It can be a little tricky, but just gotta find it. You can do them one at a time too if you want. Alt Shift right click the face loops right there. And what we're gonna do is just hit X and delete the faces, and you will see it will get rid of that nasty geometry or shadow. On the bottom, we're gonna hit Control R, left click, and add some loop cuts to all three of these. There we go. And then the middle thing right here, Control R. And this one, you might have some trouble getting the loop cut. What we're going to do is just select any part of those two sides. Control L to select the linked. Shift H to hide everything except for those. And then Control R, add in loop cut there. Add in loop cut there. Add in a loop cut there. And one right there. Now you can see it has some strange shading here. Honestly, I don't really care for the scene because you won't even see it. But on some parts of the Lego, for example, if we hit Alt, right click this edge loop, hitting Shift E, you could add a crease, an edge crease to the mesh. And you could do that on the other side too. Shift E, add an edge crease right there. So if you want, in some parts of the mesh, instead of adding a loop cut, you could add edge creases, which can definitely help to sharpen parts of it out. All right, cool. Now if I hit tab to go back into object mode, I can see that these aren't even going into the thing right there. So hitting tab to go into edit mode, what I'm going to do is go into face select mode, select these 6 faces right here, shift right clicking, and then just hit SY, scale it on the Y axis a little bit, tab to go back into object mode. Let's see how that looks. And all right, that's fine. Now it's going in. Cool. Hitting tab to go into edit mode, Alt H to unhide everything. And there we have it, our first Lego block, which only took like 30 minutes, guys. Come on. All right. Make sure to save your scene, file, save as. As you can see, I have a lot of these. I've made a lot of Lego blocks in the last couple hours. All right, cool. Now we're ready for block number 2. This one will literally take under a minute. You guys can time me, and if I go over a minute, then I don't know. I guess I failed you. All right, hitting 7 to go into top view. We're gonna select the original Lego block, the OG Lego block with the mirror modifier. Shift D, copy it over. Let's uncheck the X and the Y axis so that I could just see what we're doing. We're gonna just enable the Y axis, apply that, then hitting tab to go into edit mode, Control R, add a loop cut right in the middle, left click, right click. Let's hit 5 to go into orthographic view and Z, go in wireframe, go to vertex select mode, box select with the B key, the left side of the vertices on the left side of the middle divider, X, delete vertices. Now, going to add modifier, we're going to add back our mirror modifier, making sure that it's above the subsurf modifier. So moving this up. We're now going to enable clipping, tab to go into edit mode, A to select everything, and then just bring this in. And don't crash them together, otherwise you're going to just merge everything. Just bring them in slowly right to where they touch. Boom, like that. And then after, you could always bring them out a little bit if you need, now that they're merged. And there we have it. That is our second Lego block. However, one last thing, Control 7, go into bottom view, select the other Lego block with the cylinders, select one vertex of one of the cylinders, Control L, Shift D to copy it, bring it onto this one, P to separate the selection. Now it should be its own block, its own object. Tab to go into object mode, select your Lego block, apply the mirror modifier, then select the cylinder, Shift select the Lego block, and Control J and merge the two. And now I'm going to hit 5 to get out of orthographic view. And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. We have block number 2. I think that took a little bit over a minute, actually. And I'm sure one of you guys timed me and said, you're probably going to say in the comments, Alex, that was 1 minute and 10 seconds. All right, well, you know, you can't please everybody. All right, this next one is going to take under a minute for sure. And you can time me if you want. What we're going to do is just select this block that we just created. We're going to hit Shift D, copy it over. 3 on the numpad to go into side view. Tab to go into edit mode. Go into wireframe. Deselect everything. And then just box select all the vertices on the bottom. Bring them up. And we're done. How fast was that? Now, you cannot tell me that was not under a minute. I think it might have even been under 30 seconds. All right, cool. There we go. That's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. One quick thing. Let's make sure that the subdivision surface on the render is set to 1 on all of these, because we're going to have at least 300 of these in the scene. We want to make sure they're all set to 1 on the render layer. Cool. Now for the last Lego block. Of course, you can make a million Lego blocks if you so choose. I'm only going to make 4. Because, you know, this is a tutorial, and yeah, this is a tutorial. I don't want to spend 5 hours making Lego blocks, and I've already done that, so let's go. Next one, select the original, the OG Lego block, Shift D, copy it over. Let's uncheck these quickly. I'm just trying to see how I want to do this. All right, we're just going to enable the Y modifier, the Y mirror modifier. We're going to apply that. Tab to go into edit mode. Go into face select mode. Select these 2 faces, X, delete the faces. Now going into vertex select mode. Go into wireframe. I'm going to go into orthographic view too. 5 on the numpad. It just makes it easier to select things. Box select all the vertices that are on the left side of the middle of the circles here. X, delete the vertices. Now you should have this right here, half of the block. We're going to add back the mirror modifier and make sure that it's on top of the subsurf modifier. Enable clipping, and just like before, in edit mode, selecting everything, bring everything together until it just pops nicely into place like that. Cool. And then applying the mirror modifier in object mode. I don't think you could apply it in edit mode. Apply it. Go back in edit mode and Alt right click this face loop. Let me make sure I have the right one selected. Hit the F key to fill that in. Select it, this one, F key to fill it in. Cool, and now hitting Control 7 to go underneath. On this one, all we're going to do is Shift S, cursor to selected. In edit mode, so tab to go into edit mode. Shift A, add a circle. 8 vertices is just fine. Scale it down. Or before you scale it down, make sure, or no, just scale it down, whatever. Scale it down. And then E to extrude, Z. Let's go in side view. Whoa, that's way too long. And then just bring this flush to the floor of the Lego. And then the top, just bring it into, can't see anymore, into the Lego block like there. Cool. Hitting 5 to get out of orthographic view because honestly, I don't like the fisheye look on everything. And there we go. Cool, 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 cool. Well, we got 4 Lego pieces, ladies and gentlemen. How fun and awesome is that? Four Lego pieces. Awesome. All right. I think I already said that like 3 times. Shift selecting all the Lego pieces. Let's hit M to move it onto the second layer. So then hit the 2 on the keyboard, not the numpad, just the keyboard. Going back to layer 1 on the keyboard. We're going to continue modeling some things. We are going to model, we're going to do all the modeling here. And then in part 2, we're going to do the materials and all that fun stuff. First, I'm going to hit Shift C to recenter my cursor. Shift A, add a mesh, plane, scale that up, and make a floor. Cool. Well, that's our floor. We're done with that. Shift A, add a cube, and bring it up. This is going to be the Lego box. So this is going to be pretty simple. SZ, scale it up on the Z axis. Bring it up. And now we're going to add a modifier, Subdivision Surface modifier. And now we're going to add some loop cuts. Awesome. I'm going to click on smooth shading first. Go into edit mode. As you guessed it, loop cuts, Control R. And of course, I'm not going to say the hotkeys. You guys probably know them by heart by now. And you're probably like thinking, Alex, be quiet. Don't ever say Control R ever again. So don't do it. We're just going to add it on all the sides there. And then on the top and bottom as well. All right, cool. Now going into face select mode, select the center face on the top and go ahead and hit the E key to extrude. Bring it down into the, not too down so that it doesn't go past the bottom. There we go. And then you guessed it, loop cuts. Yay. We're going to add a loop cut in there. Another one at the bottom. And then just on the inside, we're going to add loop cut there. Loop cut here, loop cut there, loop cut everywhere. I really don't like that song. And then on this side as well, loop cuts. And there we go. We have a loop cutted id box. Cool. Now, for the lid, quite simply, go to layer 2. We're going to be smart about this. We're just going to take this little Lego block right here. Shift D to copy it, right click to just leave it there, and then hit the M key to move it, and then hit the 1 on your keyboard to move it to layer 1. And there we go. Now just put it on top as the lid. And then just, I'm going to hit SZ, scale it down the Z axis. Scale it up. Scale it up. SY a little bit. Alright, cool. There's my French accent. Oh god, that was terrible. You guys know I'm French and I can't even do a French accent. It's quite embarrassing. Alright, now with this, let's just give it a little bit more character since it's the, the lid of the box. It's a little bit different than the cube, than the Lego piece. Hitting tab to go into edit mode. Go into vertex select mode. In wireframe, I'm just going to box select all the vertices on all 4 of the corners. So quite simple. All the vertices on all 4 of the corners. And then just hit GZ, bring them up. GZ, that sounds like a rap name. GZ, the Blender rapper. All right, cool. And then just for a little bit more character, I'm going to hit A to deselect all that. I'm going to select all the vertices on the middle, right there at the bottom, just the bottom. We're going to turn on proportional editing with the O key. We'll turn on proportional editing. What this does is if you hit the G key, You now have a circle of influence right here, which you can make bigger or smaller with the mouse wheel up and down. And when you grab this, so G, the circle of influence will move around vertices that are in the influence of that circle near the vertices selected. So let's just hit G, Z, bring it down, increase the circle a little bit, and I just want to give this kind of a spherical shape. I'm going to do the same thing on the other sides. A to deselect the previous ones, box select these, G, Z. And again, feel free to pause it and just do all sides. I mean, it's just the same exact thing on all sides. And there we go. There we go. Perfect. Perfect. Let's save this. Control S, save. And now hitting 1 on the keyboard to go into front view. I'm just going to select the box, R to rotate 90 degrees and negative to rotate it negative 90 degrees. I'm going to position that there. And then the lid, Control R, R to rotate 180 to rotate it 180 degrees. Put the lid right there. And then RZ, rotate it on the Z axis. You can position your scene how you want. Cool. There's that. I'm going to select the floor, scale it up a little bit. And bring it down so that it's not like completely in our thing. And now let's make the walls. First I'm going to hit SX, scale this up a bit on the X axis. Go into edit mode and edge select mode. Shift right click these two edges. E to extrude, Z on the Z axis. Bring it up. Now let's add the window. Quite simply, Control R. Add in loop cuts here and here. And one here and here. And then select this face right here and just quietly delete it. Quietly. I don't know why I said quietly. I'm just going to go into vertex select mode, select these vertices right here and bring them in a bit. Also hitting the O key to turn off proportional editing because that's going to give us trouble later on. All right, cool. Now just a couple last things we're going to model. We're going to model the curtain quickly, the windowsill, a couple of things, and then the Lego blocks, we're going to put them right here. So very quickly, the windowsill. I'm going to do a simplified version of the version that I did in my final image. All we're going to do is Shift A, add a cube. Hit the S key to scale it down. And then SX, scale it on the X axis to about there. Make sure it's centered. And then hitting Control R, loop cuts, as you might have guessed. On either side. Go into face select mode. Select these faces and EZ, easy. That sounds like another rap name. Anything with a Z sounds like a rap name at the end of it. Try it. Try it. You'll be surprised. All right, anyways, sidetracked. Extrude those up, and there we go. For my windowsill that I made in the final image, I basically just added a subdivision surface modifier to it and some extra detail by just, for example, adding 2 loop cuts, Control R, mouse wheel up so that you have 2 loop cuts, left click, right click, go into face select mode and like extruding this in, giving it indentations like that, and also with a subdivision surface modifier. But you could do that yourself if you want as kind of like a little homework assignment thing, I guess. Yay. Homework, what I wanted. Yay. All right, Shift A. Let's add in a mesh cube. This will be the little, I don't know what it's called. In your house, there's these little whatever things at the bottom of the floors. SX, scale it on the X axis. And then Shift D, copy it. RZ, rotate it on the Z axis 90 degrees. And then just bring it to the other side as well. And dang, how long is this thing? There we go. SY. It doesn't matter. For me, I already know where my camera angle is going to be, so I don't care if it's sticking out, and I don't care about the top here because I know my camera is only going to show this part of it. But again, for this thing in the final scene, I added a subdivision surface, some loop cuts, and made it a little fancier, but you can feel free to do that on your own as well. All right, on to the curtain. The curtain is an important part of the scene because it adds dramatic effect with wind blowing through the curtain. You want to have that because drama is good. All right, Shift A, add mesh plane. Just bring this up. RX, rotate it on the x-axis 90 degrees. Scale it up. And again, I don't really care about the top. I know we're not going to see that. SX, scale it up on the x-axis, and then just bring it closer. Maybe not too close. Cool. And then what we're going to do, can you guys guess what we're going to do? If you answered loop cuts, you are correct. In edit mode, add in, let's see. Let's just do 20 loop cuts there. And then control, what we're going to do first is Alt Shift right click every other edge. I know there's a shortcut key to do this smarter, but I don't remember what it is. And then just bring these out a little bit, give it a kind of like, you know, curtain feel. And then Control R, let's add in, let's say 10 loop cuts here just for the cloth simulation to work better. Cool, I'm going to click on smooth shading and add a modifier, add a subdivision surface modifier with a level of 1 as well. All right, so that is our curtain for the final part of our modeling. Let's just go ahead and add in the Lego blocks. This is the moment you guys have all been waiting for. You're probably thinking, Alex, is this a Lego tutorial or just you rambling? Well, it's both, honestly. No, hopefully I'm not rambling too much. But what we're going to do for the Lego blocks, it's going to be pretty cool and fun. So I'm going to select the, I was going to say the trash can. I'm going to select, oh God, that's so terrible. No honor to the Lego legacy, the trash can. The Lego box bin thing, whatever. I'm going to select it. I'm going to hit the delete key or the period key on the numpad. And what that does is it repositions and refocuses my whole central pivot point and focus, which sometimes makes it easier because sometimes the objects get out of focus. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to hit Shift S, cursor to selected. Shift A, add a mesh plane. Now with this plane, I'm going to hit R, Y, rotate it 90 degrees on the Y axis, and also negative to rotate it negative 90 degrees. Scale it down and bring it to the front. You want it in the box a little bit, but to the front. And you don't want it to be the size of the box. You want it to be a little bit smaller so that there's a gap in between. Because basically we're going to use a particle system and we're going to spawn the Lego blocks on here. However, if it's really close to the edge, then the Lego blocks will stick out of the box. Cool. Now, going to the particle system tab with these little star looking icons, add a new particle system. We're going to change it from emitter to hair. And man, it looks like we have a gremlin in the box. Just don't feed it after midnight or get it wet. All right, I don't even think that's even possible. Going to layer 2 by hitting 2 on the keyboard. We are now going to put these 4 Lego blocks, shift right clicking them. We're going to make these into a group. Hitting Control G, you will now see that they've turned green, which has put them into a group. If we go to the Object Data tab right here, you can see that it's created and added them to the group. Not Groot from, Guardians of the Galaxy. Group. Let's rename this to Legos. And there we go. Going back to layer 1, selecting that plane we just added, we're going to go to the particle tab. Let's click on advanced right here as well, because we're going to use the advanced options, I believe, some of them. Go all the way down, go under render. You can see it says object and group. We're going to select group. And then we're going to select the group Legos. Perfect. It looks absolutely horrible, Alex. Yes, it does. All right, let's tweak this a little bit. First things first, the number of Legos. You can do whatever number you want. For this scene, I'm just going to do 300. Keep in mind, the more Legos you have, the more intense it's going to be, the more render time, the more computing power your computer is going to have, etc., etc., etc. So I'm going to do 300. What I'm also going to do is on the down here under rotation, enable the rotation. We're going to increase the phase and also increase the random, right? Increase the random. There we go. And then we're going to decrease the emitter geometry, the normal. We're going to decrease this a little bit. This will kind of dictate the size of your Lego blocks. See, like that, blam, bam, bam, bam. All right, before we mess with this, actually, let's because right now all 300 of the Lego blocks are being spawned right here. Let's continue, and then we'll tweak these a little bit more. What we're gonna do is hit tab to go into edit mode, and this is gonna be pretty cool. Well, for me, it's pretty exciting. Z to go into wireframe so you can see what the heck you're doing. Go into vertex select mode, select these vertices here, and what we're going to do in front view, just go ahead and hit the E key to extrude them to about here, and then extrude this to about here or so. And now if we hit tab to go into object mode, you can see that now they are spawning on this part of the mesh as well. Pretty cool. Now, let me see. If I hit this and select everything and hit Control N to flip the normals, make sure the normals are flipped the right way. What I'm going to do, I'm going to hit Control R, add in 2 loop cuts here. And this, you don't have to follow me exactly. Just make your own pattern that you want. I'm going to select these 2 vertices, hit EX, go in top view. Just select this and kind of give it a random layout of where I want the Lego blocks to be. If I hit tab to go back into object mode, you can see what that does. And now, what I'm going to do is select all these. Shift D, bring this over here. Add a loop cut. Again, just give it whatever look you want. I'm going to select all of these. Copy these over here and just give this some random looking shape. All right, so right now you can see that these are looking a little bit flat right now. What we're going to do is just increase right here the random under velocity. We're just going to increase this to something like 0.5. And then also what's going to happen is when we turn this into a physics simulation, as you can see right now, all the Lego blocks are in each other. They're all intersecting and everything, which is not good, but it's actually good for what we're going to do after, because they're intersecting. When we change them into physics simulation, they're all going to like kind of bust out, and it's going to be pretty cool. Now, one thing I'm going to do is just right here, I'm going to bring this down a little bit so that's not going into the box. And then right here, bring this in a little bit. And just in a little bit, maybe like that. All right, and again, don't worry about this happening right here for now, because once we add the physics simulation and everything, they're all going to be interacting with the scene nicely, and they won't go into one another, etc. But that is it for the modeling part of it. Make sure to join me in part 2. No, I'm just kidding. But in part 2, we're going to go over the materials, environmental lighting. We're going to do the physics simulation for this, the cloth simulation for the cloth, the texturing, etc. All of that. It's going to be really cool, and you're going to learn some really cool things that you could apply to your other projects in Blender. So make sure to not miss on that. So with that, I'll see you in part 2. Hope you enjoyed this part and see you in part 2. All right, ciao for now. Au revoir.